Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. We conclude today the chapter 11, verse 55. Uh, he who works, he who does work for me, who is my devotee, who keeps me as the supreme goal, who is free from attachment and who is free from hatred towards things and people. This is the kind of people who reaches me. So, uh, as was mentioned yesterday, he who he who does work for me. So it can be interpreted in different ways, you know. So what is working for the Lord, for the Lord? You know, we hear this, we have looked through this concept several times of just being an instrument in the hands of the Lord. Fundamentally, the doership of the Jiva needs to be surrendered to the Lord because we have very limited power in really doing things and accomplishing our desired goals. So we know that our conclusions and determinations and actions, they are big time subject to failure, you know. And therefore, the best way is just to, first of all, to have our desires in harmony with the laws and principles of the Dharma field, which is the Lord. And then we respond to the stimulus coming from the environment with as if dedicating to Shwara, almost as if uh, I appear to be a doer here. I was designed to present my actions here, but fundamentally, I know that I am a very small factor among so many others that somehow comes together to propitiate this action dedicated to you. Yeah. So it's as if we are doing what we do for the sake of sustaining, supporting, protecting the Dharma, the law. The law is holding this place together. The laws which have been challenged big time by so much Adamic individuals, and yet we have the power as a good devotee to work to support to to help holding the Dharma in place, and this is the devotee who works in that sense. And the devotee also must work not only to reestablish Dharma, but he should work to understand the true nature of the Lord. So yesterday I have mentioned that interpretation working here. So the more I understand something, and the greater this something is, the greater becomes my love for this thing because I understand it better. So we don't love things unless we know things. We have seen Swamiji present this logic several times. We need to know things so that we can, develop a genuine appreciation for it. And God is the highest value because it is the order. It is the intelligent order which propitiates us the opportunity to live, grow, and get this self-knowledge, which allows us somehow to elevate the soul and dissolve the soul in Brahman as Brahman. It seems to be a suicide, but it's not a suicide. It's just giving up your inferior nature to claim your superior nature. There is nothing suicidal about that. And then it says, this devotee is the one who keeps me at the supreme goal, works to understand my nature, and in the process develops what? Vairagya, non-attachment, no raga and no dvesha, no hatred, no desire, no aversion towards things of this world. Of course, it's going to develop at the initial stage attachment to God. It's going to lean on God, you know. It's going to try to find security in God, Saguna God, as we know, so that in due course it may transcend that dependence on leaning upon God to be absolutely standing on his or her own nature as consciousness, the only reality, which is not only independence, no dependence, which is, in other words, independence, because consciousness is free and independent from anything, any circumstance. So detachment here, vairagya, is being highlighted. You know, it's interesting because I don't know if you guys had the chance to look at the commentary I did in the Shine World. It in the end, I mentioned that perhaps we could say that I'm going to send to you guys that vairagya is the highest qualification, the highest value. You know, you will understand why I said that at the end. But here it reminds me of what I wrote in that commentary, that vairagya is necessary, you know, non-attachment to what? To things of this world, okay? As Swami Shimai used to say, this process of spiritual elevation, it begins with detaching from things of this world and attaching to God. And attaching to God needs to be understood on different levels as the individual grows, you know. So we want to attach to God temporarily until we can go beyond attachment and detachment from God, because God is my own intrinsic true nature. So that's the way to reach, quote unquote, the Lord. This is a capsule of a verse. It's a seed verse, which is going to be expanded in the next chapter, which will define bhakti. We'll be seeing it very elaborately. Here I give you just a small advertisement. According to Krishna, bhakti is not a particular sadhana. It's not a particular sadhana. It's the name of the entire range of spiritual sadhanas once they are permeated by appreciation, love, reverence, gratitude for the opportunity. So the feeling may not be there. And then you can do many things to the Lord. You can do many pujas, many rituals, and many sadhanas involving doership. But you need to have this emotion called devotion so the qualifications may rapidly develop. It's not one sadhana. Here's why you use it's a common name. So I don't like this expression, a common name. It's not a sadhana. It's a way to present a spiritual attitude, a spiritual emotional devotion, you know, that should permeate all sadhanas. So it is this spiritual attitude, devotional attitude, which will take a person to moksha, provide the person keep doing all the sadhanas beginning from karma, dharma, upasana, shravana, manana, nididhyasana, all through with this attitude, this spirit, with this emotion, you know, of love, reverence, and gratitude for life, for the miracle of life, as I like to put. So it's the name given, you know, it's a way, it's a pointer to something that should permeate all ranks, all the spiritual sadhanas, because if the spiritual sadhanas come attached to this attitude, to this sentiment, with this spirit, and then those sadhas will take a person to moksha. And we will see it in the next chapter that they are divided broadly into three, as we know. So the Vedas divide them into three: Kama Yoga, Upasana, and Yani Yoga. But let's see what Swami is saying here. Vedas, it's in the Vedas, it's divided in three. But here in the following 12th chapter, it will be divided in five. It's very simple. It's going to break Kama Yoga into two and Upasana into two, and Yani Yoga remains Yani Yoga, only one, the path of understanding. So the reason they subdivide Karma Yoga in two is because as a Karma Yogi, you can have two kinds of devotion, Sakama and Niskama. And as Upasaka, you can also have that attitude of focusing the mind in one single entity, defined by its name, form, and attributes for your own sake, or you can have a larger view of the Lord as the intelligence holding it together. So there are different levels of God. The first one, you're going to develop a sentiment slash understanding of this relationship by the way you do things and the motivations behind your doings and what you are trying to accomplish. That is going to define what kind of karma yoga you are. And then on the second level, likewise, so you're going to have two kinds of different levels of upasana, because according to Vedanta, upasana or deep meditation should use a symbol, on which you should meditate upon. So it's not that you should meditate on something that you want, like people do, oh, I want to go to the sixth dimension. Then you start visualize or following some suggestion of how it is. And no, it's just about, I want to understand the nature of God, and I'm going to use different symbols according to what my degree, the mind goes expanding so that I can bring it to focus on something that is very subtle, very abstract, yet it is there. Those notions in regards to Ishvara serves certain purpose. And the most profound, as I say, is Ishvara as the law of karma, and furthermore, Ishvara as the supreme intelligence, the supreme order. One needs to be able to hold that picture cognitively in mind and meditate upon Ishvara on that level, or a more denser level, or even denser level, or a picture of Krishna or Vishnu or Shiva. So, but then when we come to Yani Yoga, there is no such a thing as, this level of Yani Yoga, that level of Yani Yoga. No, Yani Yoga is Yani Yoga. It's just the declarations of the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma, and they need to be understood in the lights of those Mahavakyas, Upanishadic Mahavakyas, or declarations of identity. So you either understand that or not. So there are no degrees. There is no Yani Yoga level 1, 2, or 3. No, you cannot subdivide that. Kama Yoga, Lakshana Bhakti, Bhakti, which is expressed in the form of Kama Yoga. How you call Kama Yoga as the expression of Bhakti? Because Kama Yoga is only karma. Well, Kama Yoga, literally, karma means action. So Kama Yoga is a form of action. So how can an action can be said to be Bhakti Yoga? Any action or any kind of sadhana can be devotion or not devotion if that sentiment is developed, and then that is a sadhana with the potential to rapidly transform and qualify the individual. So how is Kama Yoga a form of bhakti? So Krishna answers is Kama Yoga can be called bhakti because Kama Yoga requires intense love and appreciation to the Lord. Why? So only by this level of understanding and trust, you know, the individual can accept everything with gratitude, everything as an opportunity, everything with the attitude of this is a prasad. So you need to have what? Much understanding, much trust in your understanding, which is scripture's understanding of the nature of Saguna Ishwara. So you have to have so much devotion because you have so much trust in your understanding, the scripture understanding of the nature of Saguna Ishwara, so that, of course, devotion must be there, must be there. And then on the other side, this is when you present your karma, your action. But then when the result comes, the karma palan, again, the other side of Jiva's personality is the bhakta. So as a bhakta, again, you have to have maybe even more vairagya, more trust, because sometimes the palan is painful, is very, very against what I would say favorable circumstance, consider. So, and then that requires even more vairagya, even more trust, even more devotion. So you receive your Parabhada with great trust, confidence, and devotion and acceptance. Acceptance with the trust that it is designed perfectly, within a certain context to facilitate my spiritual elevation. So that's the way to receive the palam. And then the action we present it with a spiritual of the donation, service, and love, and reverence, and gratitude, this action, and observing the Dharma so that I conform my actions with Dharma. So all of that requires tremendous devotion. Devotion is a feeling that comes from a deep confidence in God, a deep understand, not that God is going to provide only good things, but God is going to provide always what is the best for me, what's the best for all. Huh? The next question could be, if you say that Kama Yoga involves devotion, all these I've seen, I'm just putting them together again. Kama Yoga involved in two stages. So I already anticipate that. The first stage, I am a doer, I'm a karta. And then, okay, there is something here showing up to disturb my flow. In the first stage, I'm a karta. In the second stage, I am a bhakta. Karma, karta, I am initially. Pala, bhakta, I am later. And palan can be anything. We have no control over favorable and unfavorable balance, terrible balance, disappointing balance, balance of all kinds, and it requires tremendous devotion, tremendous trust, tremendous understanding of this intelligent design order. Now, in Karma Yoga, most important thing is action, karma, karma karta. I have to dedicate actions at the feet of the Lord by a sankalpa. So what it means, when we do certain action, it's impossible for us to remember every time, oh Lord, this is for you, oh Lord, this is for you, oh Lord, this is for you, oh Lord, I'm gonna drink a little water, that's for you as well. It's impossible. You keep remembering every little, oh, this breath is for you, Lord. No, you just keep doing your things in the background. There is this understanding and this trust that life is designed for our spiritual development, and life presents to myself parabadas from moment to moment, and my response are fundamental in this process. And not only I respond to something that I have accepted as my karma palan, but then my karma in response to my karma palan has to be in harmony with Dharma. and with the spirit of devotion, dedication, donation, giving it back to the Dharma field. This is my action. I have been putting actions in violation of Dharma in the past. I have been using words and actions uh, which were not in harmony or in conformity with God's laws and principles, being don't hurt anybody because you don't want to be hurt by anyone, and things like that. So you do that. That is somehow impregnated in your overall mind or background mind, and you just remember from time to time. And here it says that dedicating all your action the fruit of that by a sankalpa. Sankalpa means a thought, okay? So I need not all the time keep hand join and repeat, that's for you, Lord, that's for you. No, it's not like that. It's a thought that's well established in our subconscious mind. That's only the thought you have to have in the background. Here he says, a thought you have to have in your background. It's already sitting in your subconscious mind. Therefore, as a karta, I have to dedicate all karmas to Ishvara. Jesus called Ishvara, Ishwararpana Bhavana. And Ishwararpana Bhavana requires devotion, and these Kamapalas are going to come tomorrow, will require even more devotion. They are going to produce the palan, and I have to pay through my nose, means to say sometimes the result has a cost, a very, very expensive cost, painful cost, and we have to face the music, in the words of Swamiji, because the pain helps us to understand that we have gone off balance or off harmony with the Lord's laws and principles. In fact, every experience we get in life is our karma palan, mosquito bites as well. We receive karma palans from moment to moment, very bitter and very sweet ones, both extremes and in between. We have to accept everything with no resistance. As what? Ishwara Prasada Bhavanaya. So bhavana here, it goes to attitude or spirit, okay? Because I was a little bit, I was doubting a little bit, because in the language of yoga, they say that it is Astanga yoga is like development or cultivation of something, but in the Vedantic terms, it means a sentiment or a spirit or attitude. So we have to have an attitude of prasada, Ishwara's prasada when we receive it. And we have to have the attitude of Ishwarahpana Bhavana, which is an attitude of dedicating my actions to the Lord. And of course, when we dedicate our actions to the Lord, we should not be doing actions in violation to Lord's laws and principles. Usually we do that when we are so off from our mind is so unbalanced that it forgets the Lord, it forgets the most fundamental dharma, such as no injury to others and other beings. So when we do things like that, usually we are a little bit off balance, off conformity, off harmony with God, with nature, with everything around us. But every time we are more established and more observant of Dharma, and that from there the action comes as with the attitude of dedication to the Lord. We don't dedicate things to people if we know that people hate it. We know that. So we don't go to a friend and say, "Oh, I know that that person hates, a certain food," and then I take just that food and say, "Oh, geez, I cooked last night, and I bring it to you." No, we give some people what we know for sure that they appreciate, and the Lord wants us to appreciate the structure of the Dharma. Okay. As a kata, I have got Ishwarapana Bhavana, this attitude of dedication of a bhakta. I have Ishwara Prasada Bhavana, and because of this Bhavana attitude, the spirit Kama Yoga becomes what? Pure devotion, pure devotion. You cannot receive things, with equanimity as prasada unless you have incredible understanding of the Ishvara system and trust in Ishvara as the creator who sustains and recycles, and furthermore, the one who gives back to us our karma palan from moment to moment. So it requires huge devotion. Once I follow Kama Yoga for a sufficient period of time, I may graduate to the next level here. Swami often presents Upasana as the second level and begin with Kama Yoga, and there is a logic attached to it, because when we are young, we don't have time to do meditation, even though some of us, like myself, I try to escape from the world to meditate in India or doing things like that. But generally speaking, we need to engage, we need to provide for family or people, not necessarily as we know, because in general, people go through this phase preparing to become a householder, or a family member, or a sustainer, a provider, okay, contributing to society, doing something to society positively. So, and that requires tremendous actions, 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 actions. So much activity, extroversion, and therefore it's said that Kama Yoga should come first. If the person has this most common tendency of becoming a grihasta, provider, okay, a participant in society. So, and then the second level would be upasana, when the individual has done enough of this. It's the downside. It developed more and more rajoguna extroversion, and then when he says, okay, now I could relax a little bit. There is some savings in the bank. The children are already more grown up. They begin looking for a job. So now I can go and become a upasaka. I can work less and meditate more. So in this second level, the individual is going to face the fact that during those years, I developed more extroversion and more rajoguna, and now I need to somehow have that all under control, managing my tree energy or my mind. So through contemplations, always with the same attitude of dedicating these actions to you, my Lord, and receiving the results. There is nothing more frustrating than the results from trying to meditate, especially if you are not a Kama Yogi first. So everybody I know went through this huge frustration of trying to have a peaceful mind without having been a Kama Yogi first. Kama Yoga is going to take care of that to a certain extent. The person is extrovert, but is neutralize that by more and more understanding the nature of this system and the fact that I have no control. The best thing I can do is try my best to conform all my actions with the Dharma field, the laws and principles, and then no expectation in regards to the results, and then the mind becomes to tranquilize, and then our activity becomes more efficacious as well, because there is no frustration, no expectation, no resistance in regard to results. So it's a simple way to prepare the mind. And then in spite of that, if one has developed too much Rajoguna and then a little bit of deep meditation could balance that. So those are the two levels. And the third level is Yana Yoga, which is not going to be addressed here. Bhakti in the form of meditation is upasana. Devotion in the form of meditation is upasana. What it's going to do is going to further expand the mind, bring your mind to focus on the nature of Saguna Ishvara, on a more deeper level, subtler level. At the same time, the focus keeps developing the ability to stay focused on that concept, on those thoughts around the nature of Saguna Ishvara, the nature of Saguna Ishvara. If that's difficult, just take a picture of Krishna or any other deity, and before anything begin developing one-pointedness, and then you can use that one-pointedness to hold the mind on concepts around the subtler nature of the Lord and the supreme order, the supreme intelligence. It is an object, is a symbol, okay, very, very subtle, very abstract, yet is a symbol. It can be held. I say that because there is no subtler symbol than holding on to the sense feeling I am, I exist. Such was the instruction of the Guru of Nisargadatta, and he passed that sadhana to us at the time. And it's very subtle, but it's possible to hold the mind on very, very subtle objects of meditation. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it said, the Lord, I thought it was outside, is not really found outside, but it's my very intrinsic nature. The real God is not outside, the real God is my own heart, my own mind, my own existence. So an extrovert mind can never discard the real God. Therefore, one has to go through Upasana, generally speaking, after Kama Yoga, and the Upasana is going to bring less extroversion and more focus, more expansion, and more introversion. This is the second level of sadhana called Upasana Lakshana Bhakti. What is Lakshana?
I think it can mean the meaning or the intended meaning or something like that. But here I think it's the devotion characterized by worship.
Okay.
The nature of worship.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn.
I'm not sure I'm right, but
okay, Upasana is a form of bhakti. Actually, every sadhana should be permeated by this sentiment of love, reverence, devotion, acceptance, prasada. So what is that all about? I visualize a symbol of the Lord, in my mind. And so my mind shuts off from objects out there, and now I'm holding on these concepts in regards to the nature of the Lord. For example, when I chant, I try to visualize the Lord within my mind itself. An extrovert mind cannot do that. Before you chant, it will go everywhere else. And if you chant, it's going to be mechanically. Therefore, we train the mind there also. Ekarupa Ishvara, Anekarupa Ishvara, Arupa Ishvara, which is the last level, which we're not going to deal here. But the main idea of Upasana gives what? Turning the mind inward, holding the mind on one symbol of God, preferably Nekarupa until we move into Nididhyasana, which is Arupa Brahman. This is called Upasana Lakshana devotion or bhakti. You see, devotion is needed in every one of these stages. Then comes the final stage, which is Yana Lakshana Bhakti, which the study of scriptures revealing the true nature of God, which is Nirguna. This is what we call Vedanta Vichara, investigation, Vedantic Upanishadic investigation in the lives of the declarations of the scriptures, which is called Yana Yoga, which also is or requires much bhakti. Here he says, and that is also a form of bhakti alone, or only bhakti. So I would add that, edit that, and say Yana Yoga, and that is again, and for that again, you need tremendous devotion to hold, to go through that process, because without this devotion, more easily than not, the person may give up after some time with no patience, with no trust in the process, with no confidence and humility to go through the process, humbleness. So bhakti also requires devotion, requires the opposite of altered ego. The outer ego say, no, I don't need to surrender to God. I don't need to love God or be devotee to God. I go through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and use my intellect. Let's leave Ishwara or God outside of the picture, because all I need to do is to understand. Okay, and here says Yana Yoga again requires bhakti. Most important, devotion must be there, and of course, other qualifications such as discrimination and vairagya and a burning desire. But the most fundamental is devotion. Okay, so since a long time I begin presenting. It's not something I picked up from the scriptures or any one of these expositions. I start present some pre-qualifications to Vedanta, and the pre-qualifications used I present is humbleness, trust, and patience, okay, which are very valid pre-qualifications. And we could add the most fundamental pre-qualification, which is devotion, which requires humbleness, devotion to God, patience, and trust in the process. Devotion must be there to begin with, as we can see in the words of Swamiji. That's why we call Yana Yoga. That's why it's called Yana Yajana. So Yajana has an element of religiousness. Okay, so Yajana. All the Gita discourse Swami Shimayananda used to call Gita Yajana, which means study of the scripts in the form of devotion, puja. Right? So you have the element of intense devotion through the study of the Gitas. It's not only about understanding here, but it has a lot of devotions, in that case also sustained by a lot of pujas and rituals, chanting or just lifting up the value of the nature of the Lord as the supreme order. For what you are doing now is what? This is also a form of puja. So Swamiji said these expositions, such as every one of these Vedantic expositions, is a form of puja. It's a form of devotion. Okay? So I don't understand much puja, but puja here is being equated to devotion or to rituals, and so on. So devotion is doing things mentally, verbally, and physically, dedicating that to a deity in general. No? But here it says that studying the scriptures on the nature of Saguna Brahman, Saguneshwara and Nirguneshwara is again a form of puja as well. And the highest possible form of devotion. We know that again and again the scriptures point to the fact that Yin Yoga is the highest possible devotion. Devotion is at the highest is required to for someone to succeed in the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Therefore, what we are doing right now is a form of devotion or puja. So that's Kama Lakshana Bhakti. Upasana Lakshana Bhakti. Yana Lakshana Bhakti. Yeah, this Lakshana here seems to point to the devotional attitude of spirit. Bhakti in these threefold forms. A person has to practice and ultimately become one with the Lord. So Bhakti is a certain sentimental or attitude in the heart of the individual that should be present as Kama Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Right? So these are the three stages, and Krishna will present it in the next chapter, dividing, as I already anticipate, two kinds of Kama Yoga, two types of Kama Yoga, two types of Upasana Yoga, and of course, only one on Jnana Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is not a particular sadhana, but it is karma plus upasana plus jnana, provide they are all the three soaking in devotion, permeated by devotion. So, in other words, Bhakti Yoga or devotion, the yoga of devotion, is a combination, is a spiritual, an attitude that should be there side by side or permeating all kinds of sadhanas we may do in our process. Therefore, he says, Arjuna, first become a Kama Yogi. As a Karta, fight this war, do what you need to do to protect and reestablish Dharma. But as a Kama Yogi, you're going to do this as a service you do to the Dharma field, your service you do to the Lord, even if it costs your life and the lives of many loved people. So Swami reminds us that we do not need to do religious actions. It can be just secular, simple, day-to-day actions dedicated to the Lord, provide they are in harmony or in conformity with Dharma. And as we receive as a bhakta, we do not complain, we do not protest. Whatsoever comes, we accept with resilience, with trust, with confidence in the structure, and everything is a great opportunity. This requires great, deep, profound understanding, but the understanding should not be just merely intellectual or academic or theoretical. It must be much more than that. And that is the mystery of what devotion really is, because you need a certain cognitive understanding, but then we never know why in certain people the fragrance of the rose, emerges, and some other people it does not. With a mental balance, accepting all parabada in life. One is Kama, Yoga, Rupa, Bhakti. May you follow that. As a Karta, as a Bhakta, the key is devotion. We got a rhyme here. So then I'm changing the order for the sake. He's changing a little bit the order of the original text. Uh, May you become my devotee. That is slowly converting your goal as God Himself. My goal is to reach the understanding of God so that I can serve God, so that I can be an instrument while still incarnated. And people will say, okay, Swamiji, I like that. You say that slowly but gradually you can forget about your personal goals, using God as a means for your goal until you get to have God as the goal itself. So slowly, don't rush, take your time, don't feel bad. Initially, nobody would choose God as the goal or moksha as the goal. It's not there in the list of people with small, less refined minds. And even if it is in the list, it is down at the bottom of the list. And since I told you, no rush, take your time, you may say, okay, I agree, Swamiji. God can wait because God is eternal. The other things of this world are not eternal. So I better grab what I can here, and then once I'm satisfied, I'm going to try to reach to God. Bhagwan says, does not matter, and therefore initially you might have worldly desires. Okay, he's saying that it's common, its nature is human to have worldly desires. Very rare somebody is born with a higher desire, such as a desire to understand God, desire to worship God, the desire to serve God. Very rarely somebody, this is something to be developed in most cases. Society has such a intense program on advertising mundane things as the ultimate goals of life. One needs to be born very strong to understand that no, that's not for me. I was not that strong, but somehow I was strong because I walked away from my profession and everything to become a spiritual vagabond, as I sometimes put, and or a spiritual hippie or hippie, hippie. Bhagwan says does not matter. Therefore, initially you might go for your worldly desires, and once you understand your world desires do not fulfill your desire, you can go into other desires on the realm of mysticism or esotericism or interdimensions. Go for what you desire. Try to fulfill them and see whether you're going to be fulfilled or not at the end, provided you succeed. Né? Like my old friend from California say, no, if you could levitate before me, and then I would really take your words more seriously. So some people want certain powers, they want to have the power to see things in the future and to see interdimensions. That's what people believe that is the goal of human life, the highest goal. So it's okay. It may be better, this kind of samsara, than the material, mundane samsara. We never know, but maybe better. At least you gave up on this more dense samsara. Go ahead, knock yourself out, try to fulfill all these desires. If you get them, enjoy them, and sooner or later, more often later, you one day will understand the limitations of all possible accomplishments in all kinds of samsaras. And then you're going to be able to convert your goal from being artha, kama to moksha. So if now I want to get security, and then I want to fulfill my desires, and now I want superpowers or interdimensional or extraordinary somehow powers and all of that. So sooner or later, you're going to be able to understand that none of that will deliver what you were searching, looking for. And then you're going to move to the desiring our self-knowledge and moksha. From prayers to shreyas, let your goal become be a desire of moksha at the end, seek the eternal, not the ephemeral. I was looking for this word before. Ephemeral. People want ephemeral things. So be it. Go for it. So the reliable and not the unreliable object. Remember the cupboard chair. So few people remember during the class. Oh yes, I know all about that. You know, the life is a huge cardboard life. You know, we cannot lean on anything in this life. So I remember, I know, I even repeat this here and there, but I'm still leaning or depending on this cardboard world. So it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but you should never lean or use it because it's only okay as a showcase. You can do everything except what? Lean on it. Sit on the cupboard chair. So you're already very fat. So MG likes to play with the Indians. They're getting fat. So don't sit or don't even lean on anything of this world. You know, don't lean on your wall of your wall, because if you were 200, 300 kilograms, you may break the wall and the house may collapse as well. So I'm over dramatizing here. Similarly, the entire world is a cardboard chair. Why? It's not stable. It's changing from moment to moment. It never provides us with security and peace. It's subject to arrival and departure. It's perishable. The body is perishable, and everything we contact through this body is perishable as well. Any and all experience by nature is perishable, is impermanent, has a beginning, middle, and end. Therefore, never really depend upon anything perishable in this physical or not physical universe. If at all you want to learn, do not lean on anyone, do not lean on any experience, even if it is extraordinary. Much less be careful with leaning on false gurus. If you want to lean on the scriptures. Here's what I'm saying, lean on God. Lean on the scriptures that reveal the nature of Saguna God, which is Nirguna Atma, your very nature, that which does not require any leaning. I have told you before, world dependence to God dependence, and discover God within yourself. And then it becomes self-dependence. Self-dependence, as we know, is equal to independence. If anyone, if anybody asks, what is your security? Only say, you say, my security is God. Train your mind all the time by saying, my security, my support is my understanding that everything is God, and fundamentally anything and everything, is a superimposition upon the real God, which is myself as consciousness. The people around me, therefore, I'll interact with them, but I will not stick to them, and I will not allow them to stick to me, because sticking together comes from both ends. We stick to people, and people stick to us. And sometimes sticking together is not a good idea, because it provides a lot of heat, a lot of struggle, which disturbs both minds. So learn to live around the world without sticking to people, allowing people to stick to you. Attachment is not recommended. If you want to attach to something, attach to God. Rely upon God temporarily as an intermediary goal. So gradually become a Shivra, a Tivra, Mumukshu, Moksha. This should be the ultimate goal, but it's very rare. It's not one of the goals, but it's the only goal that's going to deliver what every human being is searching for. Other thing that I keep seeking and searching should be only a means for that end alone. So it's okay to search for Artha, Kama, and Dharma, provide you know that they are intermediary goals, that once I observe Dharma through all these goals, you know, they're going to help me as a good Karma Yogi to develop the qualifications to understand the ultimate goal of life as self-knowledge. You know, I am of the nature of consciousness, the only reality. But at the beginning, it's okay. Go earning money and go into any kinds of esoteric things and enjoy yourself. It's hard to enjoy yourself when you are just trying to lean on things that are going to not give you real support and a result. But try to enjoy yourself until you become a mumukshu. Sadhana katustaya sampadanaha bhava. So you need to develop the four qualifications. Therefore, learn to lean and depend more and more on higher things in your life. Then your attachment to the lower things will gradually drop, just like children do with their toys. So one toy is taken by the neighbor, the child screams, and so on. And Swami likes to present the balloon example. The children, they cry so much when the balloon flies away, but later on they see no value in balloons any longer. Why? Because the children has grown up, developed certain maturity, understood higher values, higher goals. The desire has moved from, more infantile goals to more superior, mature goals, other desires. Be detached from all other inferior desires. Anything that is perishable is inferior by nature, but there are inferior, less inferior, less inferior, less inferior. We may go growing that way. There are gradations, of perishable goals and accomplishments. He says, be free from raga dvesha, but does not mean development of dvesha. When we say freedom from raga dvesha, it means no, he's saying here that freedom from raga desires does not mean developing aversions to the world, because it's very common. People believe that vairagya is to have hatred or aversion towards life and the world as it is. It says no, one thing does not imply the other. So be respectful to life. Don't develop aversion or hatred towards life, to family members, animals around you, mosquitoes, and anything. Plants, freedom from dvesha is important. In short, raga dvesha is maturity, development is maturity. Raga dvesha and transcendence or detachment is maturity. I desire what gives me security and pleasure, and I hate those which gives me insecurity and pain. So to be free from those two forces means to say equanimity. You receive both with a deeper understanding that both serve certain purpose. Okay, and more often than not, we grow more when we receive painful situations, even though too much uh, papa karma may be a challenging as well, because if one is being hit over and over again by a lot of papa karma, the mind has not much time to recover and develop a certain viveka faculty, to understand the process. So real maturity is udasina bhavana. It is called udasinyam. It's transcendence on raga dvesha, neither raga nor dvesha. Such a state of mind is called equanimity, is called raga dvesha atitatvam, which is otherwise called vairagya or equanimity. So, in short, develop viveka, develop vairagya, those two initial or the two wings of the same qualification, discrimination, which depends on vairagya, which is understand of the limitation of everything that's perishable in this world. And then more vairagya, more dispassion, more non-attachment, more non-expectation I develop, better is my Viveka Shakti, because it's not subject to frustration again and again, or hesitation with certain accomplishment. With this balance, developing vairagya, you will develop also the other qualification, which is mumukshutva, which is the ultimate devotion to self-knowledge and moksha. Here there is I know we got to our time. There is a passage that I enjoyed very much. I want to just present it. If you have got these things, what things, these conditions, these qualifications, the four qualifications, and they should be there founded in devotion. Developing sadhana katustaya sampatti is the goal of any sadhaka. Now, we say the goal of sadhana as a good Vedantine is develop sattva guna, but there is more to it. The goal of sadhana is develop all four qualifications. And for develop all four qualifications, more often than not, devotion is required. The rest of the other qualifications, the rest we leave to God's grace only. So what we need to do? We need to develop certain qualifications. And then the rest you leave to God. You understood God. You understood that God is the karma paladata. You understood that our efforts, your effort counts. They are fundamental. And then you do what is on your side, and then you leave to God what belongs to God. Because in order to get Atmayana, the sadhaka requires a proper, competent guru. And the sadhaka at that level have no idea who is a real guru, I see people even after years with Vedanta still falling for false gurus. So I never know who is a guru. And then Swami puts it very clearly. Guru is not someone who is playing with mystical, esoteric concepts, but Guru is one who has got Atmayana. Guru must be self-realized to begin with, and then understand and have some familiarity and the grace and the inspiration come from the Lord to present this, to unfold these teachings. So the guru is one who has got Atmayana. Whether the sadhaka whether a person has got yana or not, the sadhaka has no idea. It's exactly like a blind man can never know who is blind and who is not. Well, this is so beautiful because all we have to do is to develop the qualifications, and God is going to send to us a proper guru. We cannot say, no, I will choose my guru because, no, you don't know. You need to be a yoni to identify another yoni. So blind people cannot identify people who are not blind because he's blind, she's blind. Therefore, an yoni can never find who is a Jnani. He will never identify who is a Jnani, says Swamiji. Therefore, if I develop these 4 qualifications, Bhagwan says that he will send you a proper guru. Beautiful, huh? On our side is to get qualified. I cannot choose a guru because I don't have the base, which allows me to choose. More often than not, we choose a fake guru or a guru that we deserve, like I have chosen all through my life. Okay? Those are misleading errors in the language of Vedanta, shiny world. Misleading error is a concept that comes from beyond shiny world, but it's a good one. Everybody gets the guru one deserves. Bhagwan has got a guru department. When a person gets qualified, he will send a guru, a real guru, a teaching guru. Such a person who was qualified, who received the proper guru, will ultimately get self-knowledge with the potential of teaching or sharing this knowledge with others and become a guru. Jnana and moksha is what is the outcome once the person developed the 4 qualifications and Ishvara sent the proper guru, and then jnana and moksha is the outcome. And therefore you become one with me, Arjuna. So this is the beautiful capsule that Swamiji was pointing out to us, and this is going to be unfolded in the next chapter titled Bhakti Yoga. Okay, and that way we completed the 11th chapter. Okie dokie. Okay, so are we good for Monday, Tuesday? Yeah? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Okay, namaste. See you, love you.
Yeah. Another wonderful satsang. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Yeah, great stuff, Alindo. Thank you.
We'll meet on Monday. Bye-bye.
Okay, have a good